But the thing I had wanted to bring it to when I was bringing up the early origins of Jeffrey Epstein with that Al Yamama deal is obviously the point there is that there is some sort of relationship with intelligences
Absolutely,
at
yes.
the time. And there is a tweet.
Absolutely.
I think I sent it to you, Deef. Yep, he has it up. So this is from Ronald Reagan about Iran-Contra, okay? In his new and this is from back in the day, obviously, because he's dead. In the new autobiography, former President Ronald Reagan says Israel was the instigator and prime mover in the Iran-Contra affair. He blames the Israelis for misleading him into believing he was selling arms to so-called Iranian moderates when some, quote, may have had links to the Ayatollah Khamenei's government and were trying to obtain weapons under false pretenses, unquote. Israel began the arms deals with Iran when it contacted Robert McFarlane, Reagan's national security advisor, to propose the first sale and continued to press the secret dealings thereafter. Reagan writes in An American Life that Prime Minister Shimon Peres was behind the proposal, the former president says. Iranian middlemen endorsed by Israel helped, quote, win the freedom of 3 hostages, unquote, Reagan adds, but the same middlemen behaved at times like bait and switch con men with the sole intentions of profiteering. So with Iran-Contra, they were trying to get weapons to the Sandinistas in South America, and they were trying to do it by financing a $150 million deal through Iran when we weren't supposed to be dealing with post-revolution Iran in the 80s. That's like the very high-level version of it. But
it says down here too, Patrick Alley says that Epstein was roommates with Stanley Pottinger. He was in up to his neck in Iran-Contra. Roommates, partners and roommates with J. Stanley Pottinger, who helped ship weapons to Iran prior to Iran-Contra.
Can we read this, Steve?
Good grief.
So according to his former friend, the journalist Jesse Kornbluth, who's Epsteined up the ass.
Yep.
In the mid-1980s, Epstein said he worked for governments to recover money looted by African dictators and occasionally subcontracted to those same autocrats to help them hide their stolen money. A source who spoke with journalist Vicky Ward from Vanity Fair, the 03 piece, said one of Epstein's clients was the late Saudi arms dealer Khashoggi, a middleman in the Iran-Contra scandal who helped smuggle cash for the Marcos family out of the Philippines. In 1988, Khashoggi was arrested in Switzerland, that's hard to do, for concealing assets and later faced fraud and racketeering charges in the U.S. He was later acquitted. Must have had a great attorney. That year, he sold his 282-foot yacht to the Sultan of Brunei, who soon flipped it to Donald Trump. And let's go to the next one right here. Epstein was fired from Bear Stearns around the time he met Douglas Leese, who I was telling you about. Epstein then started a short-lived partnership with J. Stanley Pottinger, a former U.S. Department of Justice official who was investigated for his role in dealing arms to the Islamic Republic of Iran. The Iran-Contra affair appears to be a pivotal moment in Epstein's life. Between 81 and 86, the Reagan administration covertly sold arms to Iran, which was at war with Saddam Hussein's Iraq. So they were selling to the Iranians they didn't like because they liked Saddam Hussein even less.
Right.
My question is, why is this wasn't clocking to me at first because I looked at this very quickly before we got on air. Why is Reagan saying that benefited the Israelis when the Israelis really don't like the Iranian regime? Like that has always been their big bugaboo.
But the Iranians back then didn't have a nuclear program, and it was Iraq that was the real immediate threat to Israel, because the Iraqis did have a nuclear program and a biological weapons program and a chemical weapons program. And they were working with a Belgian inventor named Gerald Bull the Iraqis were to build something called the Big Gun. This is one of the very first things I learned about my first week at the CIA. Gerald Bull created this giant gun that was so big, you just had to sort of lean the barrel up against the side of a mountain, point it in essentially the right direction, and then fire it. And it would send a shell as far as a missile would go. And nobody wanted to buy it. They're like, what are we going to do with this giant gun? Right? It's as big as a house. And so the Iraqis said, we'll take it. And so the Iraqis bought this thing, and before it kept cracking when Bull would test it. It kept cracking. So he came up with this idea to put what he called a condom on the inside of the gun to smooth the barrel and to keep the reverberation from the shot from cracking it. But before he could test it with the condom inside, the Israelis assassinated him.
They're pretty good at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Gerald Bull and his giant gun. I remember saying to my boss, like I say, I was only on the job for a week. I said, "This is a joke, right?" And he said, No, this is deadly serious. It's a giant gun. They have to lean it up on the side of the mountain to fire it.
I'm picturing that thing in Game of Thrones they were trying to take the dragon out with. Where they're just like, come on, baby, let's go. All right, so you had always maintained that Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad access agent. Mm-hmm. Do you think, I wanted to bring this up first so we at least had the context of what Ronald Reagan said about this. Mm-hmm. Probably his handler said about it because I don't think he was all there by the time he wrote that book.
Yeah, not a chance.
So, so do you think that in something like that, if in fact the Israelis had an interest in seeing Iraq be neutralized more, do you think that this is the prime type of situation where he could have been recruited at that time?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you think that's what happened?
You know, when you put all of these episodes together in a line, that would make sense to me. Yes.
Next question. This is a deal where the CIA is running a lot of ops as well, meaning they have to know he's involved with this.
You know, that's a good question. He would have had to have bumped up against CIA ops people.
Right.
Or even if not CIA ops people, NSC people who were in up to their necks in this thing.
National Security Council?
National Security Council. You know, the likes of as I said, Admiral Poindexter, Richard Secord, Oliver North, all these guys. So even if you're not dealing directly with agency people, although you probably would be, you're going to at least be dealing with White House people.
Now, you had said earlier you had never heard Jeffrey Epstein mention at CIA. You did hear Khashoggi mention, though, a bunch.
All the time.
Khashoggi was also like extremely public throughout a lot of his life.
That's right.
If 7 people from the NSC and CIA directly dealt, or at least bumped into Jeffrey Epstein during said mission Iran-Contra, which was a cover-up. They were covering up something they were doing.
That's right.
Is it reasonable to say that the compartmentalization structure of espionage bureaucracy in the United States government would mean that those people would chart this, maybe have it in their own files, but not necessarily share it with anybody?
Yes. And I can tell you exactly how that would play out. If I were one of the agency guys involved and I run into this American guy who's in the middle of it and he's not with us and he's not with the White House people, then who the hell is he with? So what I would have done is I first would have gone to the White House people and say, who's this American, this Epstein guy? And then I would have gone to the FBI and say, listen, just so you know, we're doing this highly compartmentalized, top secret operation. You don't need to know what it's about, but you do need to know that there's a private citizen involved who's an American, just so you can start a file on him, just in case this is going to be a counterintelligence problem for us in the future. It doesn't look like that was ever done. I can't imagine why.
That was going to be my next question. What would be some...
He had to have had protection at the White House. He had to have.
At that time.
Way back then. Sometime between 1981 and 1984 or 5.
All right, wait a second. That would make sense for a second. So if he has protection at the White House, maybe through a technical intermediary like Oliver North or something like that.
Exactly.
They're doing this under the table.
Right.
It's a crime.
Right.
So he's going to be... It's more like the mob. Like, all right, I'm not saying nothing. I know who that guy is, but I can't tell people I know who that guy is because then they'll say, how do you know who that guy is? And now we got a problem.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. See, I had never thought of that.
That's interesting.
But now that we're not playing it out.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
This is why you're here. So I'd always, again, my mind is very open on all this. I am not married to any of this stuff. What I had always thought, just very 30,000-foot view in the air, and some people have misheard me on recent episodes on how I explain this, so I need to do a better job. I'd always looked at it like, okay, he's working with Mossad or, and you have to say this, or with other intelligence organizations in Israel, because they're not the only one.
That's right.
Like Jonathan Pollard wasn't with Mossad, it was with the military.
That's right. It was military.
Same shit,
That's
but
right.
different name.
That's right.
But Mossad's an
It's
easy
just
way
like
to
us.
put it.
You know, we have, 18 different intelligence agencies.
Right. You would think one or two might be enough, but that's neither here
You'd
nor
think.
there. But I always thought he worked with them. And then the thing that really shifted things for Jeffrey Epstein in his timeline was the, I believe, September 2002 flight with Bill Clinton, Kevin Spacey, and Chris Tucker, which made Page Six. Prior to then, Jeffrey Epstein was known as a New York City socialite and not known publicly. He was known on the socialite circles, which, by the way, when someone's known as a socialite in New York, red flag should be flying. But he's in this case, a good spy. He's doing all his sick shit. He's going to the White House 18 times. No one knows who the fuck the guy is and everything. And then all of a sudden, boom, flight happens, Page Six story. Then he has to do the interview with Vicky Ward in March 2003. Right. He's out there. No coincidence in some ways that his case starts coming up in 2005 in Florida because he's a known guy in some respects. And so my thought always was, and if I were a betting man, I would have said it was probably late 90s when Clinton was still in office. My bet always was that CIA was asleep at the wheel, maybe because of the compartmentalization we just talked about. And, you know, then they probably find out, maybe it's 1996, I'll put a year on it, 97. They find out so far this guy's been to the Clinton White House 15 times maybe. They're like, who the fuck
who's
is this guy and the British lady whose dad ran the Daily Mirror and he started all the fucking peer reviews and runs all our kids' textbooks in America and got buried on the Mount of Olives in fucking Israel 5 days after he got pushed off a boat? Why is this motherfucker coming in with the guy who's taking blowjobs from the fucking intern?
You know, imagine the stories that you could piece together if you had unfettered access just to the visitor logs.
Just to that. Right? So someone, Linda at Langley, goes, wait a minute, we got a problem. Takes it up the chain of command, suddenly says, boss, I don't know who the fuck this guy is. They then take 10 minutes to look into it, and they're like, oh my God, he's running a fucking pedo ring at the behest of the Victoria's Secret guy in fucking New York City, and holy shit, he's involved with Iran-Contra. He's fucking working with Mossad. He seems to be an intelligence dealer. The fucking wife, who's not really the wife's a problem. She's connected up the ass to all this shit. Oh my God, they got dirt on everyone, including the current president. This is a crisis, the likes of which, if we outed this, everything could fall. Sounds very familiar today, by the way.
Yes, it does.
So they say in that moment, now, I proposed the New Jersey solution. I'm like, just fucking blow his brains out.
Right.
You know, say to Mossad, what are you going to do about it?
I know a lot of guys that would do that.
Right. Okay, good. I don't know where they were at this time. Right. You know, we could have called up fucking Vinny and Rocco. They'd have taken care of it.
Exactly what I was thinking.
That's right. But they didn't do that. And this is what I just always posited. And it's a theory. I can't say like, yo, I got evidence this happened. But I'm like, they looked at it and they said, oh, shit. And they go to the guy and they go, all right, you know that we know that you know that we know that you know that we know what you're doing here. And you know that we know that you know that we know that you fucking have been doing this a long time and you could take down the whole system if we tell people about that. And so you know that we know that you know that we know that now we're in a Mexican standoff. And so here's the deal. You're going to have to keep doing whatever it is the fuck you do, but now you pay a tax. You're on our soil. You're going to give us some information too. And so now, what did he FOIA? He FOIA'd the years 2000 to 2014. Pretty interesting to me.
I'll say.
Am I crazy or am I crazy?
No. It's a great catch. And it also would tend to implicate both the Bush and the Clinton administrations.
That's right.
Sorry. Bush and Obama.
Wait, now you look. Oh, from the years he FOIA'd. Okay, I thought you were talking about the backtrack of what they didn't catch.
Now the backtrack. Now you've convinced me that this started even earlier than I thought.
Right.
I was thinking Clinton, and it's not. It's earlier.
It's earlier. Mm-hmm. There were some files missing. 2.
Yep.
Not just the 2.5 or 3 million. No. I mean, they're in there, but did you see the chart of the years that they're really missing from? Mm-hmm. Can we pull up that tweet, Thief? Just so people can see this. I have to rethink everything. I have to rethink things that in the past I would have said were, I feel okay about this take, and now I have to look at it and say, Julian, that was a ice cold, scalding ice cold, if you will, take. And this is just one of these things. Like, it is what it is. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. This is a data dump. I'm going to simplify this for you, John, because there's some more specific details here, but it is showing basically, like, if you will, a percentage of data sets from the Epstein files that are presented over the years. And we can see that there is a massive gap, and basically like you in the chart, if you will, between the years of 1999 to 2001, when, among other things, you had the tech bubble blow up. Mm-hmm. You had, I believe that's 99 is when the Lewinsky impeachment trial's happening. You have the election of 2000, the highly contested election of 2000, John Kiriakou, where I don't know, someone Google this for me, but I think there was a big point of contention in Palm Beach County as it pertains to that election, and that's where one Jeffrey Epstein did happen to reside. Just looking at some things here.
Yep.
And then in 2001, you have the worst terrorist attack in United States history in New York and D.C. and in the skies over that fell over Pennsylvania with United 93. Mm-hmm. And suddenly all these files are missing. But, John, we did get an email from 2003 that slipped through the cracks. Really? Oh, you haven't seen this one?
No, I haven't seen it.
So there's an email thief. Boom. He's got it. He's all over it. So this is from 2003. Someone named Ed Epstein sends an email to one GMAX, Ghislaine Maxwell, saying any interest in being on the Shadow Commission on 9/11, the membership list is secret. She responds, thanks for the invite. Unfortunately, I cannot be on the Shadow Commission.
A Shadow Commission. It takes my breath away. Oh my God. This should be the banner headline.
What do you make of that?
I don't even know what to say. I mean, nobody believes what the 9/11 Commission concluded anyway.
That's right.
But the fact that there was a shadow commission with a secret membership list, and Ghislaine Maxwell talked about it in 2003.
Why? That's what I want to know.
Good question.
And it's like, this goes back to a compartmentalization thing too, John, because what we do have on the record that we know happened is somewhere, I think it was like July 6th, 2001, and maybe like August 11th. The dates might be slightly off. There are 2 meetings that occur at the White House, one of them with Condoleezza Rice, where CIA sent literally Tenet, Cofer Black, and some dudes who were still, like Rich Blee, who's still, I think, undercover. I think that's a fake name if I remember correctly, where they tell them an attack's coming. So like when you look at the whole like, well, CIA definitely did this. CIA had a lot of incompetence because they didn't share information with FBI, and there's a lot of issues there, and they deserve a ton of blame. But that was the one thing in this that was always like the canary in the coal mine for me, where I'm like, well, it couldn't have been that. Like they had the leadership warning about it. So
yeah, they did.
You know, maybe it's the White House. I don't know. But there's also advanced knowledge that we know about from the Saudis who have always been covered up, and we know about with the 5 guys from Mossad in fucking Fort Lee who were videotaping the thing, who were sent back to Israel on November 6, 2001.
That's exactly right.
And I know a guy from the office that arrested them, and to this day he wonders why the fuck they didn't get why the fuck. So when I see stuff like this, I'm like, how many countries are involved in this thing?
God, this is bad.
And is it even countries versus is it this trilateral elite just in general? Like everyone wants to just immediately say, it's Israel, it's Saudi Arabia, it's the CIA. how about all the above who are working for all the above? Mm-hmm. Possible?
Possible. Yes. Yes. Incredible. Sickening, I think, is what I first said when we sat down and started talking. This just makes me sick.
I don't even know what to do with them.
G-Max.
Redacted.
She must have BCC'd him, Jeffrey. Why would it be in the Epstein files? Why would it be on his computer?
I don't know.
She BCC'd him. The membership list is secret. She's not even... Was she an American at the time?
Did she ever become an American officially?
I don't know. I wonder.
Like, we talk about this small group. You know, you got the Commerce Secretary and Transition Chair who just, Ghislaine Maxwell is a naturalized American citizen. Born in France to British and French parents and raised in England, she moved to the United States in 1991 following her father's death. She holds triple citizenship, being a citizen of the U.S., U.K., and France. Yeah. Makes sense.
You can say that again.
Yeah. So...
But not Israel.
Not Israel. Yeah.
Man.
You have a guy like Letnick who runs the transition team, is the Commerce Secretary, always in Trump's ear advising him, shares a wall with Jeffrey Epstein for technically 21 years, but he claims it was 14 because he didn't move in until 2005. Who knows if even that's true. Openly lies on camera, just blood, with this dramatic story about the first and last time I ever spent time with that man. And then he said, so I never dealt with him in business, socially, or even for philanthropy. And what he was really doing was remembering all the things he did deal with him on, because now we saw it on the emails of what it was. But the guy has, as of the time of this recording on Friday afternoon, he has not resigned yet. Still doing his job. And also we find out his sister was one of the founding members of the Terramar Project, which was like Ghislaine's post-Jeffrey conviction, post-Jeffrey's never going to fucking marry me project that she did, pet project that has something to do with the oceans that she did a fucking TED Talk on.
Oh my God.
It's like, what? Do these people just all like fuck each other?
They must. They must. I'm glad I don't know people like this.
You don't?
I don't. No. No. I would feel dirty all the time.
Well, there's a guy in the middle actually, John, we can't forget this. Did you see what Hillary Clinton said the other day?
Oh, no. What'd she say?
She said that they have... Can we play the video, Deef? I did it in my solo episode. It's coming out 2 days before this, but it's worth repeating. Because, again, we got the picture of Ghislaine in the row looking at Chelsea coming down the aisle at her wedding. We know about the 25 to 27 flights on the Lolita Express.
Yep.
We got images of Clinton all with Epstein. Obviously, the Clintons are their whole fucking thing as well on the side that doesn't even have to do with Epstein. We know about the 18 known visits that happened to the White House. And yet, let's run it. Hillary Clinton says this when asked about the links between the Clintons and the Epsteins. And Epstein.
Regret the links that there have been. You know, we have no links. We have a very clear record that we've been willing to talk about, which my husband has said. He took some rides on the airplane for his charitable work.
For charitable work.
I don't recall ever meeting him.
Did you ever meet Ghislaine Maxwell?
I did on a few occasions, and thousands of people go to the Clinton Global Initiative. So it to me is not something that is really at the heart of what this matter is about. They are accused, and in both cases were convicted of horrific crimes against girls and women. That should be the focus. And we are more than happy to say what we know, which is very limited and totally unrelated to their behavior or their crimes. And we want to do it in public because let's make this transparent. The survivors deserve that. The public deserves that. But
They just lie with straight faces.
Straight faces. Mm-hmm. How does a guy like Jeffrey Epstein get so involved with Bill Clinton clearly before he got into office?
Yeah, that's a good question. Could he have spotted Bill Clinton that early on in the process? Just another governor?
Well, it was a governor who was letting Barry Seal fly coke planes into Mena with no questions asked.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Although I always believed he was told, hey, we're going to do this and you're going to say it's okay. And he did.
What makes you think that?
Because that would have been a federal operation. I mean, we all knew, everybody knows now that the CIA was allowing cocaine into the country, making its way to Los Angeles. So it would have been federal. It's not up to a governor to say, no, you can't do this. It's like, shut the fuck up. We're doing it.
We're going to do it and you'll become president.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
exactly.
Listen to what we say.
Exactly.
It's just always funny when Hillary, not funny, but it's kind of sick when Hillary talks about like women and victims and stuff like that.
God.
And then you think about the things that both of them are actually accused of. It's like, come on. That's what I mean. The political opportunism of this, that I'll call out all day. It's like nobody gets a win here.
No, there are no good guys in this whole thing. And then, it just makes me feel that much worse that Virginia Giuffre took her life. I can't even fathom the pressure that she was under. And she kind of cracked in slow motion. Remember, weeks in advance of her death, she said she had been like hit by a school bus or something, and I don't remember the whole story, but she kind of cracked up right in front of our eyes.
Yeah, it's suspicious, and apparently also it does have to be said her husband did beat her.
Yeah,
as well.
Yep. Yes.
She had confided that in Tara Palmieri, who's a journalist that she worked with, and so once her family released photos of her from towards the end of her life that included like standing photos of her with bruises all over her, Tara said that she had promised obviously not to say anything, but she's like, now that Virginia is deceased and her family has released these photos, I do feel like I should also reveal that her husband beat her all the time. Doesn't mean she didn't. There's not something fishy there.
Sure.
She
this is bad.
She went after a lot of people. And I just, it's like these people, they see all these things 20, 30, 40 years ahead at their cute little fucking Bilderberg meetings, but they couldn't see the internet coming.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's right.
It's kind of weird, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's a guy that's been at the middle of all this, Steve Bannon, who I mentioned Henry Abbott earlier. Shout out to Henry for turning me on to this back in 2021, 2022.
And it all turned out to be true.
It was all true. Steve Bannon goes way back with Leon Black and all those guys. You can trace it back to the 80s, and you can trace back the earliest investments in things that became Cambridge Analytica in 1992. So they were already thinking about how to influence people through fear all the way back then, but they weren't thinking about the very tools they were building being used against them to have the public be able to discuss things in the open, including the bullshit they do behind closed doors.
Imagine.
Why? That doesn't make sense to me, though. Like, what am I missing there?
One of my favorite movies is a 1970s sci-fi film called Soylent Green.
You mentioned it last time, yep.
I did. And Soylent Green takes place in the future. It was filmed in like 1972 or something, and I think it takes place in 2015. And cars, float on the air, and the world is overpopulated, and people can't afford food. And it gives you a pretty good depiction of a world that's on the brink of just falling apart. The only thing that they just got completely and totally wrong was every time Charlton Heston, the main character, who's a policeman, every time he needed to make a call, he'd pull over to the side of the road, go into a phone booth, and make the call. Yeah. I guess there are just some things people don't see.
That's a good way to put it.
I remember being I was in a station in the Middle East. I was there on temporary duty for a week and a half. And there was a tech team in from headquarters, and they were installing the first ever email program. And so everybody in the station was gathered around this computer, and they're showing us that you click on this little button that had an envelope on it, and then you write in somebody's name and hit refresh, and their actual name pops up. And then you can just write them a letter. It's called electronic mail, email. And the station chief says, wait a minute. Are you saying that my people can have access to anybody they want? They just write this electronic mail and hit send? And the guy said, yes. And the chief said, I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. And then he sort of made this edict that there would be none of this email in his station. Sometimes you just don't see it. You just can't, your brain can't comprehend it. And maybe that's what we're looking at here with our 2020 hindsight.
I don't understand, though, in the 2010s, once it was a real thing, like an email's been
why
around
didn't they
forever.
adapt?
Yeah. Because it's like, yes, obviously these people were talking in a way that they didn't think the DOJ would ever release their emails to the public, right? But you have people in 2021, 2022, 2023 keeping their jobs and saying, no, I regret my relationship, but I didn't really know him. And now it comes out that they did. And yet, maybe I'm thinking of this too simply and I'm the farthest thing from a lawyer, but discovery exists. If you get sued civilly and stuff,
you get access to everything.
And that can get leaked.
Mm-hmm.
So why?
It often does.
Right? So these people being so arrogant to be like, no one will ever know that I had 11,500 emails with the dude. So I'll keep my job at Goldman Sachs.
It's just incredible. Yeah, it's crazy. What goes through somebody's mind? Like, she knew how many emails. I mean, she, at least in her mind, had a ballpark figure.
Kathy Rumler. Yeah.
Kathy Rumler. How many emails she exchanged with Jeffrey Epstein. And did she think that by not telling the C-suite at Goldman Sachs that it just wasn't going to be a problem? That this was never going to come to light? I mean, the guy died in 2019. It's 2026. And it never occurred to her, maybe I should try to get ahead of this. This is going to be a problem. Or was she that arrogant to think that she could just weather this? And if you're the CEO of Goldman Sachs, you have to be saying, fucking Rumler. What was she thinking?
Yeah, I mean, he should have done that though 3 years ago.
Yeah, he should have. Yes.
He should have just cut ties with these people.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they're in that kind of position. It gets weird when he's like friends with or associating with guys in academia and stuff like that, because you're like, well, funders come in and fund stuff. Mm-hmm. And now we see a lot of that was a lot closer than that, to be clear. But like when you're a lawyer at the Obama Justice Department, like the lawyer, or in the Obama White House, and you have that kind of access and you were dealing with this guy a ton who is a spy now, you have to know you're going to be fried in this. There's just no way to look at it.
And if you've got the kind of money that the general counsel at Goldman Sachs would have, then you hire a reputation recovery firm. Right? And they're out there, reputation.com for, average people like you and me.
Or Peggy Siegel.
And get ahead of this.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody thought to do that.
They did not. Mm-mm. And it's very clear that Jeffrey maintained all of his power, or I should say almost all of his powerful contacts, including new ones post-conviction.
That's the oddest thing to me, was that conviction. This is a child sex crime conviction. As entry level as it was for him because of the sweetheart deal, you think that would send people screaming from the room. And it didn't. It didn't set him back at all. He just jumped right in. Right back in. No problem.
What do you think the angle with Bannon was looking at this? Because Bannon leaves the White House with Trump after he's fired. And then from all the texts we can see, which are cringe, the emails we can see, he is essentially becoming that PR guy.
Yeah, he is.
For Jeffrey Epstein. He even has an email in there where he's like, you have a fucking jihad against you, the likes of which I've never seen, and I've seen a lot of shit. And then, you know, they're following up emails on here where he's sending Jeffrey articles and saying, well, this makes you sound like you're contrite and, you know, talking about all this stuff. And then he films them on camera for what was reported to be up to 18 hours worth of footage. We have like 2 to 4 hours of it or something through the files. You know, this is a guy, Bannon, who, like I said, goes way back to the 80s with all these people. Is he a spy? Like, I've always believed that. Do you think that's plausible?
Plausible? Sure. Likely? I can't imagine.
Why?
Because at the position that he was, counselor to the president, he would have been vetted, should have been vetted 9 ways from Sunday. He should have been. The FBI should have been all over this. Of course, you know my position on the FBI, so.
But Howard, you say that Howard Lutnick's
Howard
the
Lutnick
commerce
is-
advisor.
yeah, see-
Leon Black's son works in the fucking administration. Like,
Yeah.
these are vetting 101.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Sure, it's plausible. I'm trying to think what the hook would be, what the vulnerability would be to recruit him, because Bannon's almost a billionaire.
Yes.
Right? He owns the rights to Seinfeld and a whole bunch of other things. He's worth, the last I saw several years ago, he was worth $750 million. So you're not going to recruit him with money. I don't know.
Unless he was recruited before he got it.
Unless, okay, that's a good point.
He always ends up in places. That's the thing. He's always in the right place.
He's long been in the right place at the right time.
There was one
Yes.
phone call I was on with a guy who was talking my ear off back in 2022. Another one of those like shiver up the spines, because this was after I'd read the Abbott piece. I was onto this with Steve Bannon. And this dude was listing off a whole bunch of things, and he starts talking about this guy, Barak, Mighty Ducks Barak guy. Can we Google that? Brock Pierce. You know about Brock Pierce?
No.
Brock Pierce is worth a fuck ton of money. Made it. He was a Mighty Ducks actor. Ends up, I'm going to really shorten this up for people, but he ends up in a partnership business-wise with this guy who ends up having these parties out in Hollywood where the guy is raping boys, underage boys.
My God.
And that ends up coming out, and then they all flee to Spain. That guy ends up getting arrested. I think he stands trial or makes a deal or something, and then eventually gets permission to leave the country for some sort of surgery and never comes back and gets a new name.
Oh, my
But
goodness.
Barak, because can you pull up his Wikipedia, Deef? Because now it's in there, and this is starting to like break open. I've been telling people to pull on this, but go down, Deef. Barak ends up a little more. Right, and up a little more. Yeah. Okay. So Barak ends up founding in 2001. Now I'm going right off Wikipedia, people. He founded Internet Gaming Entertainment, a company that pioneered the MMORPG currency selling services industry. Between 2004 and 2005, IGE spent more than $25 million buying out 7 smaller competitors, including 4 auction platforms and many fan and content sites. In 2005, Pierce estimated that IGE accounted for about 50% of this online market in the US, which has about $500 million in annual volume. Pierce brought in Steve Bannon, formerly of Goldman Sachs and Breitbart News, to seek venture capital, and a deal was made in February 2006, yielding $60 million, of which Pierce took away $20 million for a minority stake. The next year, the company faced a class action lawsuit with no assets. The company failed, and Pierce was conveniently forced out. Now go down to the Epstein section, Deef. In February 2026, an investigation by the Kyiv Independent in newly released U.S. Department of Justice documents on Jeffrey Epstein reported that the files included an email in which a man identified as Pierce, described as a co-founder of Tether, told Epstein that a boat in Antigua full of amazing Ukraine's finest was waiting for him. A separate analysis of the same document released by the crypto news outlet Protos stated that in 2012, after Epstein asked Pierce to take photos and find me a present during a trip to Moscow, Kyiv, and Odessa, which is where they would source a lot of underage women and traffic them, by the way. Pierce emailed Epstein's dozens of photographs of a Ukrainian woman named Anastasia and closed the message by writing that Ukraine is now my favorite country. And in another email, he invited Epstein to join him on a boat in Antigua, once again full of Ukraine's finest. This is stuff that is now new online that I was told in 2002 directly about this. And just conveniently, this guy, before he even blows up, he was a Mighty Ducks actor, before he blows up as a businessman, and before, like, this person I was on the phone with also told me about his Jeffrey Epstein connections as well. Before that, he just happens to bring in Steve Bannon to this video game community that also... Then this is where it gets above my pay grade, but it has, and Deef, pull that mic around because I want you to say what you're going to say, but it has to do with moving money online that's like through video game coins that can be laundered into other stuff. Maybe people out there can help me, but Deef, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, because it was a big thing that China had first gotten involved with the video game RuneScape. They'd sell in-game currency for real money. But this is weird, and I'm only going to bring this point up for you to pull on if you want. This whole conspiracy that they keep seeing all this activity from Epstein's account on Fortnite and all these video games. Just think that's a weird little connection now to know that Bannon was involved with that. Just saying. I don't know. People.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's weird.
I don't know, man. And he's still very much an insider in Washington. He's got his podcast. He's got a house on Capitol Hill. Mm-hmm. He's very much in the war room. Yep. Yeah.
What do we do? Do you just blow it all up?
You know, we're gonna have to, like, even if it means taking to the streets, demand the release of all the remaining documents. We have to. They have to be released. First of all, the law mandates that they be released. It's not up to Pam Bondi or anybody else. They have to be released. That's the law. And then we need to rely on people like you to go through these things and make sense of them.
How about all the code words they're using?
Yeah, see, now that's another thing. See, and we're weakened by the fact that we can't charge people with crimes. You know? Imagine how much easier it would be to say, look, you're involved in this. We've got a conspiracy charge hanging over you. You're going to do at least 5 years. Or you can tell us what all these code words mean and walk us through this one step at a time, and then we'll figure out, something a little easier. But the DOJ can't do that.
There's one that's used in there that Deef and I were looking at this morning, and your brain runs in a lot of different directions, where it says jerky. And there was a guy who did a nice breakdown of this. Deef, let me give you this, dude. I actually have it right here, so I want to give him a shout out. This is Dr. G Explains on YouTube. And what I liked is he even when it was obvious, where it's like, all right, we can definitely make some sort of like this type of conclusion there, he didn't. He just reported the fucking emails. But the way they refer to, we need more jerky, we need to put it in the fridge, we need this number of pounds of it, we have to cook it. This email right here that Deef pulled up says, how is your jerky situation? Should I bring any more? And there's another email to Jeffrey Epstein from unknown. Francis has time to come tomorrow to show me how to make it. Jerky class, anyone? He will also bring you a taste of his new jerky recipe from the restaurant and sends a warm hello. He is working at a restaurant called Cannibal and Cooks. Is this real?
This is from Jmail.
Wait for it. Beef jerky and steak. He has time at 3 p.m. tomorrow if this is okay with you. And they refer to didn't they refer to storing it chemically?
No, in freezers.
Yeah.
That's why I thought blood.
Jeez.
I mean,
See, this is why we need the rest of these documents.
the whole thing is a 4chan
Yeah.
a dream.
Yeah.
I will freely admit it.
You're right. Yeah.
They did what? Steve sent me some. There's also an Epstein connection to the creator of 4chan, quote, Moot. And how, no, you're good. And how he and Bannon helped to create r/politics, which basically created the alt-right pipeline that helped Trump win the election.
It just goes deeper and deeper and deeper.
Okay. Can you pull up the Peter Thiel Brexit email exchange?
Yeah.
With Epstein?
Is that in
2016, June 2016. It's probably not in.
I have this one about the collapse. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. Okay. So Epstein, you know what's crazy, bro? I remember. Oh, God, that's so weird. I remember where I was when this happened, too. This wasn't that far away. Okay, so Brexit, he sends to Peter Thiel, Brexit, just the beginning. Peter Thiel responds, of what? And Epstein goes, return to tribalism, counter to globalization, amazing new alliances. You and I both agreed zero interest rates were too high. And as I said in your office, finding things on their way to collapse was much easier than finding the next bargain. This is where the whole bankers profiteering off of war, and obviously Peter Thiel is not a banker. Jeffrey worked in finance for bankers and stuff, but like they're from the banker class, if you will. This is where I look at that and go, well, here you go.
Oh, my God.
I never seen you so speechless this much.
I feel bad that I'm so shocked that I can't contribute very much. It's so overwhelming. It's so sickening. I didn't realize it was this deep. Incredible. And, you know, Jeffrey Epstein aside, and Ghislaine Maxwell, of course, these are the people that are still running the country.
Yes.
Literally.
They're running the economy.
Notice the vice president hasn't said anything
Not a word.
recently.
Not a single word.
That's his chief funder right there.
Yes, it is.
He also had a...
He created J.D. Vance.
Yes, but actually before that, are you aware that J.D. Vance had a fundraiser dinner at Les Wexner's house in 2017?
That I was not aware, but that actually doesn't surprise me.
It doesn't.
No, because Les Wexner was the guy in Columbus, Ohio. And if you're a Republican in Ohio, you need to kiss the ring. Yeah. I did not know it, though.
If remove our own guilt in this for a second, because we definitely have some, that I do believe, and again, I'm very open to changing my opinion on things, but I do believe in this situation, CIA and U.S. intelligence has blood on its hands with all this. I just don't see a scenario where they don't.
No,
but you also have other governments that do as well.
Yes.
And it's multiple. It's an ally like the UK. It's an ally like Israel, where we know Jeffrey had significant contacts, including Ehud Barak. It also came out in the emails that the U.S., the Israeli UN security team came over to install all of his security at his place. Oh, you didn't see it? Can we pull up this email, Dave?
Are you kidding me?
John's having a fucking crisis of conscience right now. I'm sorry. There's been a lot of me talking the last half hour while John's just like questioning everything. All right, so this is from Mario Nawfal, Israeli government.
Oh, I just talked to Mario 2 days ago.
Yeah, there you go. What are the chances? Israeli government installed security systems at Epstein's Manhattan building where he housed underage models. Starting 2016, Israeli mission to the UN coordinated with Epstein's staff to install alarms, sensors, and surveillance equipment. Rafi Shlomo, who, I said this earlier, very Russian name.
Yeah.
Head of security for former Israeli PM Ehud Barak, personally controlled access to the apartment, did background checks on cleaners, remotely disabled alarms when people needed to enter, and Epstein personally approved it all. The emails are right there. I read these in the solo episode the other day, but this tweet's up on the screen. Just if you wouldn't mind, Deef, just pulling up the email so people can see it. But this is the back and forth, and then the other one, I think also, this is where they're going through the details, but then this is where it's laid out with Ahoud's name in there and everything. I believe Nelia Ahoud was on the other email, his wife, I assume. But they're going through the whole things of what they're going to be wiring. And it seems like they have a pretty chummy relationship.
It sure seems that way. And Jeffrey doesn't mind holes in the walls. Of course, we learned that in spades at the Island House. Wow, man.
Did you see Netanyahu's response to
No.
the Ahoud Barak
I'd love
stuff?
to hear it.
I'm paraphrasing here. But he said, this actually proves that we are not guilty because Ahoud Barak has attempted to overthrow the entire Israeli order as a political opponent for many years and operated, I don't know if he said in like the George Soros crowd or something like that, but he was like insinuating like, you know, anti-Israel. And we're talking about a dude, Ahoud Barak, who does have opposite politics in many cases to Netanyahu, except in the case of, you know, trying to grow Israel, which, you know, that's what they're trying to do. How they do that is certainly the question. But, you know, to say that about a dude who is like within Israel, a legendary special forces guy.
Yeah.
Who got it. We have the fucking New York City shot from the movie Munich right there, where he gets a shout out in the fucking movie while they're doing, while Mossad is doing some of the shit, right? And then he becomes prime minister eventually, defense minister and everything. But being with Epstein is a way to show that you're innocent. That seems a little...
No. He's flailing around.
Right?
Unbelievable.
Is it an unsurvivable, because of the public's reaction, if that information were flat out confirmed by both governments, is it an unsurvivable act for an allyship between the two nations?
Oh, no.
It's not?
No. This is going to be a little blip, a temporary blip. Oh, listen. The Israelis, the pro-Israel lobby, mostly in the form of AIPAC, is so entrenched in American politics, American society, American culture, that the relationship isn't changing at all. It's only because of the likes of Tucker Carlson, people with large followings out there speaking truth and talking about what America First really means, that might make a difference. People are they're gonna say, oh, well, that Ehud Barak, well, first of all, he's a has-been. Secondly, you know, that was a long time ago. It's almost 10 years ago. And it's not Netanyahu. Netanyahu's the one in charge now. That's going to be the reaction.
But the public is so aware of some of these things, though, now, because of many people on the left and right.
Yes.
It's a very bipartisan thing.
Very much so, yes.
And so you think even in this kind of year, it would be a blip if we found out that had some sort of confirmation that the most prolific known public pedophile, spy dude, arms dealer, trilateral commission person, Coney Island resident, you know, was running a Mossad honeypot operation with all the above and money laundering. We could just move on from that.
They didn't care for more than a few weeks when Jonathan Pollard was caught red-handed, and they were managing the operation from the Israeli defense minister's office.
Rafi Eitan was overseeing it, I believe.
Yeah, right. It didn't matter. And the Israelis hemmed and hawed and then kind of quietly apologized, and everything just kind of roared right back. And I think that's what we're going to see again.
So here's the other thing a lot of people say online, and I understand why they say it, but I have you in the studio right now as someone who used to be in the intelligence community who can speak to this. But people will often say CIA equals Mossad, Mossad equals CIA.
It's just simply not true.
Okay, why is that?
That's a statement made out of ignorance. Yeah.
Now, why do you say that? Because I agree with you from what you've told me, but I'd love for you to explain it to everybody.
Because the Mossad actively spies on the United States. Actively. Yes, we have a close operational relationship with Mossad, but to say we're two peas in a pod like that, absolutely not true. We are with the Brits, the Canadians, the Australians, the New Zealanders, the Five Eyes countries. We have very close relations with several other, NATO countries. But the Israelis, listen, at the CIA, Israel was ranked as critical threat for counterintelligence, along with Russia, China, Cuba, and North Korea. Yeah. The Israelis are not our friends. They actively recruit Americans to spy on Israel's behalf, to betray the United States.
Now, the people who make those arguments, though, one place where I could see from their lens is when you look at the top of the chain with, say, directors of these agencies who are political appointees. You have a guy like Mike Pompeo who ran CIA, who could not possibly be more pro-Israel, right?
Not possible to be more pro-Israel than Mike Pompeo. Yeah.
So is it possible that there are some pockets where there is some overlap, but for the most part, as you're saying, the rank and file and people who work at the agencies, they don't really like each other?
Sure. Yeah, it's possible to say that. And, presidents come and go, administrations change. The relationship is fraternal.
Right.
At the working level, it's not so nice.
The last thing today, John, this has been good, but I know that some of this is
I'm intellectually exhausted now. I'm very upset by all this.
I can see. So I don't want to.
It's like, what happened to our country?
I don't want to torture you. But I do have to get to the one thing that we left off from the beginning, which is what you heard about the whole Iran thing. I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
I'm just going to let you go with whatever you're allowed to say.
So I have a friend, former CIA officer, who was at the White House this morning talking to his friends, and he says that a decision has been made to attack Iran on Monday or Tuesday. The president yesterday gave the Iranians 10 days to accept our proposals for an end to their ballistic missile program, an end to their uranium enrichment program, an end to supporting groups in the Middle East like Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis. But he's done this before. Well, he'll give you 10 days, he'll give you 2 weeks, and then he'll just attack 2 days into it. He thinks that keeps people off balance. The USS Abraham Lincoln has been in the Arabian Sea for weeks. We've got about 24 support ships in the Persian Gulf, the Arabian Sea, the Red Sea, and the Eastern Mediterranean. We've got the USS Gerald Ford, which is in Gibraltar right now. It's passing through the Straits of Gibraltar like today on its way to the Eastern Mediterranean and probably through the Suez Canal into the Red Sea. So we're going to have enough assets to attack Iran in the next couple of days. And so he said that there are battle lines, that the anti-war forces are J.D. Vance and Tulsi Gabbard. He said that
That's it?
That's it. He said the pro-war people are led by Marco Rubio and include Pete Hegseth and now the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And I stopped him on that point this morning and I said, wait a minute. I said, during the Iraq War, at the start of the Iraq War, the most stridently anti-war component was the Joint Chiefs of Staff. They were always the last ones that wanted to attack because they know what war is. And he said, but you forget, Trump has replaced all of the Joint Chiefs this year, in the past 12 months, which I had forgotten. Any of these four-star generals who, had worked their way up through the ranks, but had served under Biden, he fired all of them. All of them. And he promoted people that he knew would be politically loyal. So, Julian, I've always been one of these glass half full guys.
Me too.
I've always been optimistic about things. And I've been saying a lot in my own podcasts, in written pieces. We went through round 1 with the Omanis in Muscat. We went through round 2 with the Swiss in Geneva. Both sides came out and said these were both productive meetings. We're going to go to round 3. Everything's looking good. The Omanis are asking us to just relax and let them do what they're good at. The Omanis are really, really good at diplomacy. Really good. They're very, very good friends. And And they're honest. So the Iranians trust them as well. And I think that none of that really matters right now. I think a decision's been made.
Do you think this is to distract from the current scandal?
Probably in part, yeah.
How about them saying they're going to release the UFO files last night, which I've wanted released forever. But
yeah,
like,
I know,
the
right?
timing,
I mean, we've been talking about this for years.
the timing.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.